On this video, I'm interviewed by entrepreneur Rob Moore. Hi, I'm Jonathan Jay, and on this video, you'll see an interview that I did with entrepreneur Rob Moore in his office just before I went off to get a taxi. He grabbed me after a presentation that I did, sat me down, and we did this 30-minute interview for his customers. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, it's Rob Moore here, a bit of an impromptu video at a random time because this man is hard to find. Jonathan's become one of my mentors because this year is my 12th year in business, so it's our 11th birthday of Progressive Property this month. And, we've been growing 30-40% each year, but last year, 2017 was probably our hardest year for growth. Because, when you've been doing the same things to build your business to grow 30, 40, 50% year on year on year, there comes a time when it gets hard. How much more can you spend on Facebook ads? You get diminishing law of returns on a lot of the things that you do in your business. Finding new customers isn't easy. And Mark and I got our heads together and went, how can we scale next year, but not work more, not work harder. And so we thought, well, maybe acquiring some businesses would be a good way. We've bought a letting agency and we've bought a personal development company. Both of those have made us 7 figures. So it's something we've done, but it's not something we're experts at. And I always have this rule. If I want to do something, but I'm not an expert at it, put the ego away. Don't think I'm better at it than I am, and go and hunt out the people who know what they're doing, who've done it. And it's weird because as I was sort of thinking about that's what I wanted to do strategically for the business, we reconnected again, didn't we? After what? Yeah. 10, I think I came down to Putney 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And our paths just went like that.
Yeah, so that was an interesting synchronicity of us meeting and you thinking about acquisition when I now teach people acquisition.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to do this live is because I want you to know more about Jonathan, what he does and who he is. I mean, he's a very well-known guy anyway. So Jonathan, maybe you could do your intro and let everyone know, get as close as you like.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in business, proper business, for just over 20 years. Although I had my first business card when I was 12 years old, I've never worked for anyone else. So I've always done my own thing. And I spent years building a business, a very successful business called the Coaching Academy. It's still around now. It's coming up to its 20th anniversary, I think, and I sold that in an absolutely huge private equity deal in 2007, November 16th, 2007. It was a Friday afternoon.
Are you allowed to say how much for?
I typically sort of say it at live events. So it was a £5 million plus deal. And that's cash, not shares, or that's money in the bank.
Oh, you got a thumbs up for that.
Oh, did I? Yeah. On day one. And when I look back over the last 20 years, and I look at it's a little bit like looking at the stock market for the last 20 years, or the property market for the last 20 years. You can see the peaks and the troughs. And the peaks were always when I was buying businesses or selling businesses. And you can actually make money when you buy a business. You don't have to just make money when you sell a business.
Yeah.
But the troughs and the bits that weren't so great were when I was actually just focused on running the business. And my light bulb moment was that the real money's made when you buy and sell, not when you're a business operator. Right. So a business operator is an employee type role where the deal maker is the person who buys and sells businesses and owns the shares but doesn't operate the business on a day-to-day basis. And
this has taken me 11 years to figure this out.
But that's how everyone starts. See, everyone starts like I did and you did. You open up the office in the morning, you close the office at night, you do all the things that people in an office do. Sometimes I bet you arrive, or maybe not now, but you used to arrive in the morning to have a queue of people outside your office door, all with questions. Rob, how do I do this? Rob, how do I do that? And that's the bit that business owners find frustrating. So what I'm focusing on now is helping business owners get past that frustration and think like deal makers. Think like, take their entrepreneurship to the next level and start thinking like a business investor rather than a business doer or a business operator. And the analogy is, let's say Monday morning you go and buy shares in British Gas. You don't then sort of turn up their office on Tuesday morning and say, "Where's my desk? What do I need to do to start work?" You're a shareholder in the company, and that is a critical difference. And you ultimately will make more money buying and selling businesses business than you ever will from running a business. It's a massive difference.
So you sold one business, you made in excess of 5 million in cash. Have you done it more than once?
Oh, I've done it loads of times. I mean, I've done deals that no one's ever heard of. I've done big deals, the multi-million-pound deals. The last one of those was 7 or 8 months, 8-9 months ago. It was last year. I did my very first deal when I was 27. I didn't realise what a big deal it was at the time. I was only 27, but I made more money on that transaction than I ever made from running the business. And I think I ran the business for about 14 months prior to that. Right. So there was more money just popped into the bank account on that day than it ever did when I was running the business. And I certainly, it took a few years for it to dawn on me, but it dawned on me that this is where it's at. It's not just about turning up at the office and hiring staff and firing staff and answering the phone. That's what operators and managers do. That's not what business owners do. And you talk about growth. I mean, your growth is staggering. I was with some clients for our mastermind just 2-3 days ago, having lunch with them, and they were telling me that their growth is 3 to 4% annually.
Yeah.
And they've figured out, it's a family business, they figured out it would take them 10 years before they make any serious money that means that they can actually sort of buy the nice houses and the cars and the things they want to make. 10 years? I mean, who's prepared to wait 10 years? You can do it in 10 months. You can do it this year.
So I think this was the light bulb moment I had strategically, because last year I sort of flippantly and occasionally thought, wouldn't it be nice to acquire some more businesses? It's weird because the letting agency we have downstairs produces a few $100,000 a year. I don't work in it. It's it's staffed, it's managed. We had a load of properties we put into it, like a good few hundred, and we bought that as a distressed sale. And we ended up paying not a lot for it in the end. And then I bought Chris Howard's promotion company many years ago, and you would have remembered that. Yeah. And I paid $5,000 for that, and its best year was nearly 10 million in book business. So twice I've done what you said, not even knowing that I'd done it or how to do it. But this year, growth was hard. So this, 2017, we grew, but it's like we worked 50% harder, but we grew 5%. And I thought, when you get a bit more mature in business, you can't keep going where you're having to work 2, 5 and 10 times as hard.
It's not possible.
No.
And also, we're not getting any younger, are we? So actually, working harder, longer hours. We're working weekends and working 7 days a week. That isn't what really makes the difference. What makes the difference is the strategic thinking, and growing via acquisition is a wonderful way to grow a business. Or even if you're starting a business, why start a business and have the odds against you? It's like playing roulette. The odds are against you winning. Starting a business, the odds are against you winning. You've got an 80% chance of failure in the first 12 months. Or it depends where you read the stats, but it's those sorts of terrible numbers. Why not buy a business that's in the same sector that you're interested in? Buy that in a no money down deal, which is what I specialise, as you know, from the session I've just been giving with your people today. Do a no money down deal, and when you do a no money down deal, that you've got nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose.
And a bit of time.
And rather than a bit of time, and you'd have spent that time doing something else anyway. Yeah. So you might as well, buy a business in a sector that you're already interested in, then add your fresh ideas, add your new product into a company that's already got an office, already got staff, already got marketing, already got a website, already got these things.
Right. So it's a bit like, I don't know if anyone follows football, but nearly all the time when you get a new manager, even if the old manager was good, and even if the players have been playing crap, you get a new manager and immediately the team play a lot better.
Absolutely.
So you're saying you buy sort of distressed businesses or businesses that have got tired, and you just bring new ideas to it.
It's not so much as a great point. It's not so much the business that's got tired, although the business is tired. It's
probably
the business owner.
Yeah.
So the owner's got tired. The business is a result of the business owner. So the fresh enthusiasm of the new owner, and don't forget, you're not there to run it. You're there to be the owner and to hold the board meetings. You're the chairperson of the board. So when the new person comes in, you or I or whoever it might be, the fresh injection of, thank goodness there's someone new at the helm, makes a difference. And you can cut out the dead wood. Quite often there's relationships between staff that are just, you have someone who's worked there for 20 years, they're not productive, they don't add anything, the owner doesn't want to get rid of them because they have this 20-year relationship, where you can come in and look at it in a more calculating, business-like fashion and say, look, if we took out 5 members of staff, that would save us £200,000 a year, and suddenly this business that isn't making any profit now makes £200,000 a year profit. Who benefits from that £200,000? You. You've just made yourself £200,000 by doing what the previous business owner didn't have the guts to do.
Right, so basically you're not saying that you're buying businesses that are dead, you're saying you're buying businesses with latent profits in there.
Absolutely.
Someone needs to just come in and make some proper decisions.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people who buy businesses that are really on their knees, and I'd say no. Find a business that's doing well, that has potential. You can spot the potential. I bought a business, I keep saying last year, but we're now in 28, so the year before last. It was a 4.7 million annual revenue business. I bought it for £1 because I knew that in that 4.7 million, there was 3 million of recurring revenue. So 3 million, 1/12 of which dropped into the bank account on the 1st of every single month.
How did you buy it for £1?
Because it was making a loss of £300,000.
Right, so someone wanted to just get rid of it without any liability.
Private equity owned. It was the end of the fund life. It came up to the end of the 5 years. They didn't want the embarrassment of closing it, so they wanted to be able to sell it, even if they were sort of selling it.
To be able to sell it without looking like it all gone wrong.
Yeah, an admission of liability.
Are these businesses easy to find? Because I don't see loads of these around.
Well, you don't see them advertised, although there are places where they do advertise. There are some websites where they are advertised, and there are some internal newsletters that you need to sort of get on the mailing list for. And this is the sort of stuff that I reserve for the people who are really interested in this sort of thing. But we've got 3 very simple methods of finding these deals, and I am inundated. I mean, I mailed out 1,000 letters to a particular sector, and I wrote the letter, but I didn't put the stamps on the envelopes or photocopy it or put it in the envelopes. I got someone else to do that. You know, for a couple of £100, they took care of it.
It's always struck me you never really want to work too hard.
No, I want to do things that have the upside for me is always in the negotiation, finding the deals, doing the deals, putting things in envelopes. You know, that's not a deal maker task. That's an employee task.
You like doing deals.
I like doing deals. So I sent out 1,000 letters. I got 72 positive responses from people saying, yes, I'm interested, let's talk. I got 12 people saying, no, I'm not interested.
We are getting loads of good comments here. It's like...
my eyeyesight isn't good enough to read them. I don't know what they're saying. So you can say anything you want, I can't read it. So I got 72, and I'm working my way through that in the moment. 72 deals in one sector, and I sent out 1,000 letters. Here's the exciting bit. There are 12,000 businesses in that sector. So if I took that 72, multiplied it by 12, I just wouldn't be able to handle the response. So when people worry, are there deals out there? There's too many deals out there. That's why I get my deal makers to share the deals around.
Right. So this is another reason. I mean, I'm lucky that we go back more than 10 years. But Mark's coming on your next course. How long have you got till your taxi gets there? I think we've got about 7 minutes left, so stay with us. But Mark's coming on your next course.
Yes.
And we're really looking to get your help to help us acquire maybe a letting agency and a couple of events businesses.
And I'll tell you what, 2 things. And I say this to everyone that I work with. The first thing is, I won't let you borrow money to do it. So we're not going to borrow money. Second is, you're not going to spend your own resources to do it. We're going to structure a deal. It's a win-win. So the person that you're buying from, and I say this because if people don't know me, they might get the wrong idea. We're not taking advantage of people here. What we're doing is we're structuring a deal that lets them, in some cases, be released from their business. They can say, here are the keys. Please take my hassle away from me. It's hassle for them. It's not hassle for you, because you're going to put a manager in. The manager might well be the number 2 in the business. The person who says, you know what, Rob, if you let me do these things, here's my plan. I could turn this business into a super success story. The old owner, she didn't care, and they weren't interested. They wouldn't listen to me. So now you've got the superstar. You motivate the superstar with share options. There's a whole great structure of ways that you can do it. But
you've basically got a model.
I've got a 12-step plan
from you, but doing
I've got a 12-step plan. Yeah, absolutely. A 12-step. This, you do 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 this, and you do it in this order. You don't jump out of order. That's when people mess things up. And you do it in the right order. You have the right legal team, you have the right accountancy, the right tax advice, and you just make it happen. You just do it. The first deal is the hardest deal because you're nervous, you're not quite sure what to do. But the first of anything, buying your first property is on you. Deliberate for ages over it. But you know what? with a bit of guidance, a bit of support, the confidence of people around you who've done it before, that's what makes the difference.
Yeah. So I think a lot of my guys are going to love this, because property investors, many property investors follow me, and business owners, I think the thing that we love to do the most is do the deals. We don't like all the admin, all the HR issues, all that. We love doing the deal. There's one small sceptical thing in my mind, which is just going, can you really get a business no money down?
Well, yeah, I just gave you a great example of last year. 4.7 million revenue business. I bought that without any money down whatsoever, restructured it, which sounds a little bit mystical, but legally restructured it in such a way that all the horrible HMRC issues from the dim and distant past wouldn't come back to bite me.
So is it almost, sorry to interrupt, is it almost like they've got such a liability and they almost think they win by you paying £1?
Yeah, you're taking away their hassle.
Yeah,
that's actually a very good way of putting it. So what you do now is you get rid of all the bad stuff, you got all the good stuff. I turned that loss-making business into a 2 million EBITDA business.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to get a business from 0 to £2 million of profit a year?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it took us 6 months. We took the loss-making, £2 million, and then we sold it 4 months later. So the deal. So I bought the business on the 3rd of May.
Yeah.
I sold it on the 24th of March the following year. So I think it's about 11 months.
So you don't even go
and then
in
I went
and run
to,
them.
Then I went
You
to
flip
Spain
them.
for 6 months on the 27th.
Right.
Went for a 6-month holiday.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So in this case, no, you're right. I didn't run it. It was a flip. In other cases, I've bought it, I've run it, or I've merged it with my existing business, diverted the website, diverted the phone lines to my business, and then you've got all of their business as well as your business, but with only one set of overhead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like it's black magic. You know, you can make a business that's doing all right, not that great, into something that's amazing by buying someone else's business who's doing all right, not amazing. They think that, what can I do with this? They've been the person with company A has been on the training. They know what to do. They buy company B, put company B into company A. They've now got a brilliant business, which they can sell or they can run or whatever they want.
Yeah. I think an important part of this, so I've got a couple of questions I've seen, I'll take them, but I've got something exciting to share with you. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. I think a lot of things that people don't realise is, because I've run a few businesses and I've run them 11 years, is like, someone runs a business, it starts to get hard and all they can see is what they can see. And someone with a fresh set of eyes can see something a lot differently. So, like I know that the staff I've got, because if you look here, this is my office here, and look, there's freaking hundreds of seats there. So, you can see why I'm quite excited about this. And then I know there's guys in here that I've got a really good relationship with. If their performance started to drop, I would find it hard to let them go. I know I would. And there's overheads.
Do you think I'd find that hard?
That's the point. No, you wouldn't.
Find it
You'd
hard.
come in and go, do this, do that, and why are you spending money on that, and why have you got a £200,000 car on the books, and why do you put?
I could add £250,000 profit to your business just by doing the things that you've procrastinated over, you don't feel comfortable with, the personal relationships, and so forth. And that doesn't make me a callous person. I'm far from that. But it's seeing things with fresh eyes. And I tell you, let me give you a great analogy that everyone watching this will get. When your friend tells you about their relationship problems, you know all the answers. You go, you should do this, have this conversation, end the relationship.
Wear condoms.
Whatever, Rob, whatever, So you've got the answers.
I've got a thumb up for that.
You've got the answers to your friends' relationship problems. You've also got the answers to other people's business relationship problems. Can you solve your own relationship problems? It's harder, right?
Yeah, because you're emotional.
Yeah, you're too close to it. You can't see the wood for the trees. Where as a deal maker, as an investor in businesses, you can solve those problems for other people, and it's easy.
Right, so you can see why I want to do a lot of work with Jonathan in the next 12 months. I want to say thank you, because I'm excited that you're taking us under your wing.
And sometimes people only need one deal. One deal. I mean, I could have retired forever in 2007. If I'd invested my money wisely and bought property and done all the things that people do when they invest money, I did not have to work for another day of my life. Now, you know me, I love doing this. I wouldn't be sitting here with you now on a Sunday afternoon if I didn't love this sort of stuff. So I'm never going to retire. But one deal you can retire on with the right deal.
Okay, and then hopefully in the future when people come and they go and find a business, they can maybe JV with you.
The option's there, and the option's always there, and that is the upside for me.
So if I was honest about this, going to be honest about this, Mark and I go and find a business, I'd rather JV with you and have you cut in and you help us through the process than do it on my own, not knowing what I'm doing. So if I was a course delegate, which I will be, I can see the upside in that. Give you a decent amount of money to have your tutelage, perhaps.
If I can tell you which clause needs to be in the contract, which clause needs to come out of the contract, if I can say to you, look, you're buying this for too much money. And someone came to me yesterday, the other day, and they were buying a business, and they said, this is what I intend paying for it. I said, you're crazy. What on earth? Why are you spending all that money? They said, oh, we're getting a loan against the house. And it's like, no, don't do it. Stop. I will not let you spend your own money. Let's get some deals under your belt where there's no money changes hands whatsoever up at the front.
All right. Jonathan, I know you've got a taxi.
Lovely.
Thanks
Cheers,
a
Rob.
lot.
Thank you very
Cheers.
much. Thanks,
you.
everyone.